Assalamu alaikum dear students. Today we are going to start our new course which is translation studies, and this is one of those courses which are very much new for you because before this you have not been introduced to such courses. So as from the very title you can see that it is more related with translation. Throughout your life, throughout your student life, you have been translating text, especially from English to Urdu, in your academic life. But that was only for academic purpose, for the purpose of study, or you were given some questions to translate some specific passage. So that was only for limited purpose. But when you actually see the broader purposes of translation studies, you will get to know that how important it is. Because if you think about the world of research, so translation is very, very important. Because knowledge is not the property or it is not specific to some culture, to some specific nation and culture. Knowledge can come from anywhere, from any nation, from any people or any group of people. So to get that knowledge, or to be familiar with that knowledge, or to be part of that knowledge, you have to translate that knowledge into your language. Sometimes to impart knowledge from your language to somebody else who has some other language, you also have to translate your language into some other language. So in the field of academia also, translation studies is very, very important. Not only in the field of academia, but also in day-to-day communication, in day-to-day business. You see that today is the age of online business or e-commerce. So translation is so much important. Not only of the facts and figures, but also of the procedures, also of the methods that can be applied into different fields, whether it is business, trade, commerce, or anything that you want to do for some specific purpose, and you want to borrow that from some other language or culture. So that is the scope of translation studies. After being expert of translation studies, you can get many jobs and some research jobs, because there is a lot of scope of this subject. It is a whole subject itself. And why you must be thinking that why we want to, or why would we study about translation studies? It is very simple. It's not that simple, because when you are translating some facts from one language to the other language, it is not about to translate one word or one sentence into some other language sentence. In fact, when you try to translate some fact or something from one language to the other, it is not about only word meaning. It is about culture, that how one particular person from one culture see that thing, that object that you want to translate into some other language. Your opinion about that object may be different from the opinion of that person from the other language. So it is very important to understand the culture and society in which that language is spoken if you want to translate. So there is a very deep relation of translation studies with language culture and language society that you will be understanding in the coming lectures. Okay, for now you will read few points from here. There are some definitions about translation studies. What is translation? Translation is perceived as an intrinsic part of the foreign language teaching process. It has rarely been studied for its own sake. Okay. Translation involves the rendering of a source language into the target language. There are two languages when we are translating. One is the source language from where you are going to translate and the other language is target language, the language in which you are going to translate. Okay. The surface meaning of the two will be approximately similar. I remember all of you have gone through deep structure and surface structure. So surface structure is same almost, but the deep structure that comes from the socio-cultural norms, from the society that language is spoken in, and from the culture that language is coming from. On those two levels, on those social and cultural levels, the translation of the two languages, translation of the same sentence in the two languages will be different. The structures of the SL will be preserved as closely as possible, but not so closely that the target language structures will be seriously distorted. जाहिर है जो लैंग्वेज आप जिस लैंग्वेज से आप ट्रांसलेट कर रहे हैं उस लैंग्वेज में तो कोई चेंज नहीं आएगा, बिकॉज यू आर एक्सपर्ट इन दैट लैंग्वेज. बट वैन यू आर गोइंग टू ट्रांसलेट इन टू सम अदर लैंग्वेज इन विच यू आर नॉट सो मच एक्सपर्ट, सो देर आर चांसेस दैट यू विल चेंज द मीनिंग्स, the practical meanings or the actual meanings which are according to the culture that may differ, because that is not your language.